the Renukaswamy murder case order has now been reserved as the questioned manner in which the High Court gave the order granting bail to actor Darshan and others involved in the case. Now, the Supreme Court stated that we are sorry to say, but does High Court dictate same type of orders in all bail applications? What troubled us is the approach of the High Court here. Now, that's understanding of a High Court judge. We can understand if it was Sessions judge, but High Court judge committing such a mistake is the kind of question that's now been raised by the Supreme Court. It further said it's a question of perverse exercise of discretion here, and we're trying to examine while exercising discretion has High Court applied its mind judiciously. That's our concern basically. This is what Supreme Court is saying now. Now, Justice J.B. Pardiwala and Justice R. Mahadevan was hearing the plea in the case. Remember, viewers, Darshan's advocate had clarified that he would not argue on the grounds of arrest, but would present arguments based on the merits of the case. And now the Supreme Court had directed Darshan's counsel to submit all the documents and written submissions in advance. Supreme Court has questioned the manner in which High Court gave the order granting bail to actor Darshan and others involved. Supreme Court has clearly stated that we are sorry to say this, but does High Court dictate same type of orders in all bail applications, hinting possibly at a bias here. Supreme Court also said what's troubling for us is the approach that High Court has taken in this very case. They question that that's an understanding of a High Court judge. We can understand if it were Sessions judge, but High Court judge committing such a mistake. Now, my colleague Gautam is joining me on this story. Gautam, Supreme Court has clearly taken, a very strong stance against what High Court did in the case. Help us understand, because Supreme Court here is possibly hinting at a bias in the way High Court has acted. Fill us with more details.
Yes, Ashita. So the Supreme Court today, while hearing the cancellation of bail plea that was submitted by the Karnataka government itself, has made some really explosive remarks and observations against the Karnataka High Court itself. Now, what we understand is that the Supreme Court has raised serious concerns over High Court's decision to grant bail itself. If we have to go through what happened in the Supreme Court hearing, few key points actually stand out. The Supreme Court actually questioned about the disease, that is the Renukaswamy in this case. It started with that and asked how was he lured into this shed and beaten up, and after the assault, photos surfaced showing some of the accused with Darshan, and here the Supreme Court hinted as a possible cover-up and a possible cult-like loyalty to Darshan as well. So this is a very serious concern that was raised by the Supreme Court, saying that Darshan enjoys a cult-like loyalty and following, and his actions are actually imitated by his fans as well. Now, the other point that the Supreme Court actually mentioned is that the CCTV footage which showed the suspicious vehicle movements when the murder took place of Renukaswamy, and they have also asked for the photos to be recovered from an eyewitness phone linked to Darshan and others in the crime as well. Now, the concerns raised by the bench regarding the Karnataka High Court, the Supreme Court has questioned the High Court's reasoning, suggesting it had merely acquitted Darshan at the bail stage itself. And the justices of the Supreme Court also remain skeptical about how eyewitness testimonies and forensic evidence were dismissed by the Karnataka High Court. And in response to this, Darshan's lawyer Siddharth Dave challenged the reliability of the delayed eyewitness statements and argued that the charges were yet to be framed and the trial had not started yet. So the Supreme Court has, in the end, finally said that there is a need for a proper trial, and it's given the High Court as well 6 months to complete the trial. The trial itself covers around 65 eyewitnesses. So this is supposed to happen in the next 6 months. So it'll be interesting to see if the Supreme Court will remain patient for the trial to be completed because the order has now been reserved and the next date has not been fixed yet. So now, in a form of relief, it is a form of relief to Darshan, but it is a stinging statement against the Karnataka High Court. So it will be very interesting to see what really happens in the next hearing of the Supreme Court here, Ishita.
Clearly, a very stinging statement by Supreme Court against the way High Court has acted in the Darshan bail case. I want to understand, has Darshan's lawyer reacted to these developments so far?
So the arguments that were put forth by Siddharth Dave itself, those are the points to actually reflect on here because even Siddharth Dave actually challenged the reliability of the delayed eyewitness statements, and he's basically argued that the charges are yet to be framed, and he has said that he's not going to go into the merits of the case, but actually argue for why Darshan needs to be granted bail as well. Keep in mind that Kapil Sibal was the one who was supposed to argue for Darshan, but a couple of days ago he withdrew from this, and Siddharth Dave was pulled in at the last moment. Now he has put forward his arguments, and it will be really interesting to see what really happens because the way the Supreme Court justice has criticized the High Court's what they are claiming is a lack of judicial scrutiny and emphasizing the need for a proper trial makes it really difficult for Darshan to maybe continue in bail. And what another thing that we need to point out here is that Darshan was granted bail on medical grounds because he had back pain. But currently, Darshan is there in Thailand shooting a song sequence for his latest movie. He is scheduled to return tomorrow as well. So all of these are actually very contradictory to what the Karnataka High Court had stated as grounds to give bail to him. So it will be interesting to see what really transpires in the next hearing here.
Exactly. And according to you, because you've been tracking this story very closely, how do you think this will pan out for Darshan in the case now, with the way Supreme Court has now come down on the High Court?
Absolutely, because the Supreme Court's observations make it very clear, Ishita, that they are not happy with the way Karnataka High Court has gone about giving bail to Darshan and all of the accused. Keep in mind that none of the accused, the 17 accused in the Renukaswamy murder case, all of them are out on bail. So it's not just Darshan. So that is a reason for concern that has been raised by the Supreme Court. And also the way it has said that it's okay if a trial court or a sessions court dictates an order like this, but the fact that Karnataka High Court has given bail to him in such a way is something that is very concerning for the Supreme Court. And also keep in mind that Karnataka High Court had granted bail to Darshan in December. So it's been 6 to 7 months right now. So still no trial has taken place, and 65 people are there. And the Supreme Court has also inquired about the eyewitnesses and their testimonies because they feel that some of the eyewitnesses could be influenced. One of the eyewitnesses was also seen with Darshan after he was granted bail as well. So all of this makes it for a very murky case that is really happening right now. But given the fact that the Supreme Court has actually questioned Karnataka High Court and how it granted bail and the manner of it points to trouble coming soon for Darshan, and he will definitely be preparing with his legal team as well for the next course of action as well. Ishita.